Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar. Take a look at some stories that we otherwise might not be discussing, and I think it's probably, like today, the biggest example of that, because we're talking, Cowboys and Baylor, but there's a lot of other stuff going on as well. I know, for one, the Yankees and the Red Sox have announced they have postponed their game today due to COVID-19 issues. So if you were looking forward to some Yankees and Red Sox and the whole second half, start of the stretch run,
Yep.
well, you're going to get Yankees and Red Sox at Yankee Stadium, and that's not going to happen because they need to do some additional testing and contact tracing for COVID-19. So no Yankee Sox, and you wonder how much of a problem this will continue to be.
Well, and it's the second time for the Yankees in particular now. The first time I think they had to cancel a game or postpone a game, and then they came back the next day and everybody was fine. And the Yankees are apparently a team that's over the 85% vaccination threshold, but they're still, I guess, COVID testing, or if somebody gets sick.
3 players who have it, 3 players who they're waiting on results from. Now, that was like an hour ago, so I'm sure they're probably closer to having those results. But, 3 players who have it.
It's the start of the second half, even though they've gone past the first half of the season schedule-wise, the number of games. But it's an off night for everybody else but those two, and now it's an off night for everybody.
Yeah.
And then they start back up again tomorrow.
Yeah, I just wonder how long it's going to take to get to that point where if a couple of guys pop, you don't worry about it and you just play, you just play on, and those guys aren't available.
I think what you have to have is a 100% vaccination rate, like throughout the team, like the actual team.
Yeah.
So if you're 100% vaccinated and guys pop because they've tested positive, then I think you'll be like, okay, well, these two are out, we're good. But I don't know if any team is to that point yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard about any team being at 100% so far, and I don't know that there will be, quite frankly. I mean, everybody's got their own things, right? How about the fact that Tom Brady apparently played all of the Super Bowl season with a torn MCL? At his age, he's already at a little bit of a disadvantage, but he played the entire Super Bowl, according to the Tampa Bay Times and NFL Network, on a fully torn MCL in his left knee. He sustained the injury the previous season while playing with the New England Patriots, and he had surgery to repair it in February after winning the Super Bowl over Kansas City.
Let me tell you something, Tom. Don't have to use excuses because you can't run. No, he's always been kind of a slow, lumbery guy. He's never tried to act like he's the greatest, most athletic quarterback. I didn't know that. I do know he's lucky as hell that it didn't get worse and he didn't get hit in a certain way that didn't completely just shatter. Because you tear an MCL, that makes something else have to do more work.
You know what that tells me about Tom Brady? He is in incredible shape.
Oh, yeah.
That
TB, what is it called?
TB12.
TB12,
That is the best commercial you can give for that is like, hey, if you do what Tom Brady does,
you could play with a torn ACL,
you could
MCL.
withstand an MCL.
Yeah.
The MCL is the medial, and there's the ACL you can't, right?
Yeah.
Now,
your Stan Humphries played like the fourth quarter of that game.
I remember he had that huge, I believe maybe that was when
Phillip Rivers has played with a torn ACL in a game. Like it just, I'll limp out there, and then after the game it's torn. But yeah, most of this, the ACL and the PCL, I don't think you can either. Or whatever.
The PCL, I think, that's right there on the posterior. Yeah, I think that used to be the one that was the most deadly. And in the end, I'm not a doctor, but I do believe that the ACL means you're done. The PCL is not good at all. But the MCL, maybe you can. I don't know. I guess so, because he did.
Yeah, so he had that in February, and basically it's being kind of brought back up to a larger extent because it wasn't known if it was like full tear, that kind of thing. And also it'll probably keep him from being a full participant. But, dude, he's 40-something years old. He's a 6-time Super Bowl champion. Training camp is not going to be an issue for him. But just a note on the greatest quarterback of all time.
By the way, I looked this up. The worst is the ACL.
Yeah.
Most likely considered the worst ligament to tear. The most damaged is the ACL. And that's the one located in the front of your knee. See, I thought that would have been the posterior, but that's behind you. So that's interesting. I wasn't sure, but that is the one that apparently an ACL or a PCL, the ACL.
Yep, so moving on from Brady's leg injury to the one Conor McGregor suffered again, going back to McGregor as he continues to stay in the news. Last weekend, UFC 264, broke his leg in the trilogy fight with Dustin Poirier. At the end of the first round, Poirier gets the win via doctor stoppage, and meanwhile, Conor's sitting there and he's unable to even stand up in the octagon, and he's shading Dustin Poirier's wife, and he's talking like he's so worried about the actual result on the resume. He's like, no, it's got to be a no contest, not a loss. He's so obsessed with that. Well, this is the last thing I wanted to see because it just sounds like excuses. Conor McGregor says that he was hurt before the fight, that he had a stress fracture before breaking the leg. He was taken out of the arena on a stretcher because he obviously had like a full-on break, but he said that he was injured going into the fight and that people were asking him when the leg was broke, at what point did it break. He said, ask Dana White, ask UFC, ask Dr. Davidson, the head doctor. I had a stress fracture in my leg going into the cage. It was debated about pulling the fight out. He said, I would never have committed to going under the knife unless something like this happened, and what I needed was a titanium shin bone, as he has dealt with multiple stress fractures in the shin right above the ankle. So, he apparently, or it says he was injured going in, and hindsight being what it is, probably should have stayed off stayed out of the octagon until that thing was all healed up, even if you have dealt with it in the past.
Yeah. By the way, I gotta tell our audience who's watching on YouTube, forgive me, I'm laughing at Hayden. He was trying to take a picture of us, and he kept working the camera. He had the lens cap on, and I was trying to you
nice.
have the. So.
Too many.
But yes, back to Conor McGregor. So,
Hayden, don't worry about it. I've had the glasses on my face and reached to go get another pair of glasses to put them on.
But back to Conor.
By the way, is that an advantage if someone gets a titanium rods put in their leg and they go into the UFC and start kicking somebody with that leg?
I would absolutely think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. He did come out kicking, so it didn't keep him from doing that. Seemed like that was kind of a new thing he was trying to do. He was very aggressive with kicks, and I thought a couple of times got Poirier pretty good, but okay.
Yeah, have y'all seen the trailer for the Kurt Warner movie that's coming out?
I have seen like Zach 20 Levi, seconds, and it looks so, I'm sorry, it looked cartoonish. It
looked odd to me, too. The movie's called American Underdog, the Kurt Warner story. I was never a Kurt Warner fan to begin with. Like, I think it was his wife that, rubbed me the wrong way as far as, I don't know. I can't pinpoint it, and that's the only thing I can come back to. So I've never liked dislike, you know what I mean. I don't like him enough to go watch his movie. I've heard about the Iowa Barnstormers and the Arena Football League, and I know that whole thing. Does it appeal to you guys in any way? And what did you think of what you actually saw?
It's not a movie I will seek out and watch, even though I'm a huge fan of Zachary Levi. Okay. I think he's a fantastic actor, but it's not. They can't all be winners.
Right.
If I watch a second of it, it'll be a shock to me. One, I don't understand why are they doing it now.
I don't know.
It's not like he's up for the Hall of Fame. No, he's already in the Hall of Fame.
You sell a screenplay, somebody buys it.
I saw some video. It looks really cheaply done.
There are so many there's so many avenues of people producing original content now. So it's probably easier now to get a screenplay or a series sold than it ever was. Not to say that it's probably not still difficult, but compared to when you had to go to, if you had a great idea for a sitcom in 1987, you had 3 places you could go.
Yeah,
really.
So and this isn't like it's the big movie studio that's coming out with this. This is like the Kirk Cameron Christian movie project stuff. So if that's up your alley, then you'll probably like this movie. But for me, it's just a little too, I don't know, odd. I didn't like what I saw when I watched the trailer too much. Meanwhile, there is a documentary about Reggie Bush and the USC scandal that's now in the works.
I'll watch that.
That I am interested in.
Yeah.
The film will look at Bush's role in leading USC to national championships, as well as a scandal that overshadowed that legacy. It's being produced by Believe Entertainment Group, the same studio that produced the Dear Basketball Kobe Bryant film that won an Oscar. It'll be directed by Kirk Frazier, and Reggie Bush will be an executive producer. And he said that he's finally ready after all these years to tell his story, and he hopes that it inspires some change for the next generation of student athletes.
Well, guess what? I will be able to get some of the movie gets closer to happening, I'll get some of those people on because guess what? I work for the Believe Entertainment Group.
Oh, sweet.
So
there you go. But I don't like the fact that he's in. I didn't,
Do we try to make him a hero now because the rules have changed?
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden he wants it. I get that this might be another way to be tearjerker. I don't know. Maybe not. Well, I don't know if I want him to be a part of the executive director or whatever. I'm not sure I want him to. I want it to be truthful.
Right, yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know, like what's the Last Dance? Is Michael Jordan producing that at all? Did Michael Jordan have a lot to do with that? Yeah.
But see, that comes with territory. Like, oh, you want to do a movie about me? Well, then I get a producer's credit.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it, yeah.
Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, the fight that not really a ton of people want to see, has been rescheduled for October 9th because Fury tested positive for COVID-19. So it continues the real thing. It's supposed to happen on July 24th, which is 11 days from now. So now we must wait another 4 months before Fury and Wilder will hopefully fight for the very last time, and then we can be done with those two, and they can go fight other people that would be better for them to fight. So I just wanted to make mention of that there for the actual boxing fans. And Frank Solich retired this week.
I saw that, yeah.
Did we mention that yesterday?
No, we did not.
I just wanted to kind of close out with that. Frank Solich retiring, great career at Ohio, was really good in Nebraska before he got forced out because of just expectations by fans, and that led to what Bill Callahan and really kind of the downturn, really.
I bet you if you asked every Nebraska fan, if you polled a good cross-section, you said if you could go back and unfire Frank Solich, would you do it? They would all say absolutely.
He was 58-19. They had a team, obviously they had that team that played for the national title that shouldn't have against Miami. It wouldn't matter who played Miami. The year Colorado blitzed them. The 1999 team was 12-1, lost a game early in the year to Texas, then came back, hammered UT in the Big 12 championship game, big-time win in the bowl game. That was almost a national championship team for him. In fact, it was very close if they would have, but they lost. And I think 99 was the year Florida State won it against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, so
another one of the ones the Seminoles cheated to beat Nebraska. But no,
I mean they fired him.
They were incredible that year.
They fired Frank Solich at 9-3, which is like the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Now the year before they were 7-7, which was unheard of. But you're right, he was 58-19. And they were still competitive, and it took him a while, but he was consistently good at Ohio.
But look, he went from 7-7 to 9-3, and they fired him, and that's stupid. Because he improved.
I'd take 7-7 right now and be the happiest man ever. As far as a football fan. No, seriously.
You improved by 4 games. You're fired. Like, what in the world? That makes no
that
logical
was Steve
sense.
Peterson, the AD, and he won. They wanted to change everything, and they've never been the same.
Imagine if Mac Rhodes did that with
sometimes people sit there and go, the loss to Colorado lost their heart and soul. They did. But it was that when they lost their heart and soul. I don't know if Solich was losing grip on recruiting. I think he still kind of had a pretty good grip on it. But they have not been the same since, although Pelini was pretty good for a few years.
Yep, so that's a few things. There's other stuff obviously ongoing as well. I didn't run over the TV schedule. We can do that in a little while because I know we got to go, but that's a few things off the radar.
All right, thank you, Craig. Off the radar, we're live at Arlington AT&T Stadium as they're trying to get us out of here as fast as they can, but we're not done. Texas Tech head coach Matt Wells, also Ivan Maisel, one of the great writers in college football history, Sports Illustrated, ESPN.com for nearly 20 years, and now On3.com, a new site for college football coverage.